Ben and Me, Chapter 4, Swimming. Our life together went along smoothly, and would have continued to do so had Ben not insisted on indulging in what I consider a dangerous, unsanitary, and barbarous custom. I refer to swimming. As the hot summer weather came on, we often took long walks in the country, which were to me most enjoyable. One unusually warm day, when we had come to a secluded spot on the banks of the Schuylkill, Ben suddenly stripped off all his clothing, donned a silly-looking striped garment which he called bathing trunks, and plunged into the water. It was only my sudden scream and sharp nip on the air that prevented him from diving in, cap and all. While he disported in a most ridiculous fashion, snorting and floundering about, I, in the cap, was left perched on a heap of clothing, the prey to any wandering cat, dog, hawk, or snake that chanced to come along. As we walked home that evening, I spoke my mind fully on this ridiculous habit and the dangers to which it exposed me. In addition, I said, your hair is soaking wet, and I shall no doubt contract a frightful cold. Ben was stubborn about it, though. He was rather proud of his skill as a swimmer and insisted that nothing would happen to me. Nothing did for some time until one afternoon as I watched Ben diving, snorting, and splashing like an overgrown grumpus. The thing I dreaded came to pass. Along the bank came trotting a half-grown mongrel dog, seeking mischief, as is the usual habit of such brutes. I looked wildly for Ben, but at the moment only the soles of his feet were visible. Fortunately, there were many bushes and small trees thereabouts, so I lost no time in scurrying up a small sapling. Here in a broad crotch, I settled in comfort to watch the proceedings. The cur, spying Ben, rushed to the bank, barking furiously. Ben shooed and shouted as he floundered frantically toward the shore. The pile of clothing next attracted the dog's attention. Nosing it over, he selected the cap and trotted off with it just as Ben, dripping and panting, slithered up the muddy bank. With a wild cry of, "Amos! Amos!" Ben charged after him. Apparently, this was just the sort of frolic the dog had been seeking. So for a full quarter hour, he had a jolly romp with Ben. Poor Ben coaxed, pleaded, and threatened, but to no avail. Had I not been in such a temper, his ridiculous antics would have been most amusing. At length, tiring of the game, the mongrel picked up the cap and trotted off up the river bank, hotly pursued by Ben, who dashed through thickets and over rocks with utter disregard of his ill-clad person. Scarce had they disappeared around a curve in the river bank when two country yokels appeared at the scene. Noting the pile of clothing and failing to discover its owner, they became greatly excited. Their excitement increased on discovering Ben's silver watch engraved with his name. "The great Dr. Franklin!" they shouted. "Drowned! Drowned!" and took to their heels in the direction of Philadelphia, carrying Ben's clothes with them. It was warm and sunny in my tree and very quiet now. Far up the river, I could still hear occasional sounds of barking. These finally culminated in a terrific outburst of yelps and howls. Then all was silent, and I dozed. I was awakened by the footfalls of an approaching figure which I took to be Ben, but few could have recognized in that ludicrous and bedraggled apparition the famous Dr. Franklin. His legs were muddied, bruised, and scratched, his bathing trunks torn, his glasses missing. His wet hair, which hung in long, disordered wisps, was surmounted by the fur cap, worn at a drunkenly rakish angle. As he approached, limping, he kept up a continual sound of finger snapping, whistling, and clucking. "Amos! Amos!" he called. "Amos, where are you?" All the while, peering nearsightedly into the bushes along the way. Touched as I was by his fondness for me, I could not help to chuckle at his appearance. I was about to relieve his anxiety when my attention was caught by the approach of a great crowd of people from the direction of Philadelphia. Among them I could discern the governor, the mayor, and many other prominent citizens, as well as Ben's first volunteer fire brigade. Ben looked frantically about, but there was no escape save in the water, and of that he had plenty. So, folding his arms, he attempted to appear as dignified as possible and awaited their arrival. As he did so, he leaned against the tree in which I had taken refuge. Without a moment's loss, I slipped into the cap so gently as to be entirely unnoticed. As the crowd beheld Ben, everyone broke into shouts of relief and joy, accompanied, however, by not a few snickers. He was surrounded by a milling throng, all bent on shaking his hand and congratulating him. Various articles of clothing were loaned, and he was soon decently garbed. Through it all, however, Ben preserved an appearance of the utmost despondency. The governor approached, offering his hat, a very elegant affair trimmed with lace and gold braid. "Permit me, Dr. Franklin," he said, most courteous. "Pray do me the honor to wear this. Your present headgear appears slightly disheveled." "Never!" cried Ben angrily. "This cap shall never again leave my head." And he reached up both hands to settle it more firmly. I bit his thumb. "Amos!" he exclaimed happily. "Beg pardon?" said the governor. "Yes, Amos," I whispered fiercely, "and if you don't get us home quickly, you'll hear from me. Your hair is soaking, and this cap is so strong of dog I'm half suffocating." Ben brightened up at once, and by the time the procession reached home, was as pleased with himself as though he had done something really smart, instead of just scaring half the town to death. And we'll read Chapter 5 next time. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much for listening. As Tigger says, ta-ta for now. Love you guys. Bye-bye.